Coming up, a Sad Styles production. Get into it!
Hey, you know what, Andrew?
What's up?
I'm a little tired of the way that we've been doing things lately.
Oh.
I'm tired of pandering to the masses. We're just too even. We're too likable.
Yeah, that's our problem.
Everyone just comes to. It is.
It is.
People love us so much.
The podcast is too popular.
It's too popular that no one wants to share our stories or anything like that because they're like, of course everyone's gonna. No one needs to see this because they already agree with everything that these two geniuses have to say.
That's their words, not ours.
That's their words.
Yeah.
No, of course. And this is just you and I talking.
Yeah, it's just you and I.
How much other people love us.
Absolutely.
I think what we need to start doing is getting a little bit controversial.
Really?
I think we need to throw some, pardon my French.
Okay.
Shit.
Whoa.
Out there.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can I try that again?
I appreciate it. Well, yeah, one more time.
I think we should throw some fucking shit out there.
Oh my God. Jesus. Got worse somehow.
and say, have some takes that are just going to kind of like spark people.
Yeah.
On the
rile them up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
I think.
Was this an example of one?
Here's an example.
Okay,
of one.
here's what. Yeah.
Okay, like fucking, and we'll probably have to do with video games on the podcast, but like here's one.
Okay,
here's
just
one.
just a generic one.
I think.
Yeah.
That the president of the United States should be elected,
right,
by the people.
Okay, as opposed to what?
I'm just saying that it's a good idea. Like
that's your controversial opinion.
Oh,
democracy?
Andrew, politics is divisive these days. I don't know if you've taken to the internet these days.
You're right.
Or
you're
if
right.
you're just a bot.
Yes, I am. Your co-host, ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, yes.
Yeah, you're right. You know, actually, it's funny you say that. You're right. That is probably controversial.
At this point, it might be. Do you have any controversial takes?
Oh, I've got so many controversial takes.
Give me one. Lay one on me.
Absolutely.
Big man. Lay one on me, big man.
Airplanes? If you do not wear closed-toed shoes, we throw you in the Hague.
Oh, okay.
They take you off your shoes in an airplane. You are a horrible human being.
That is true. Again, though, I think everyone's already going to be on board with
Really?
that. Yeah, I think mine is a little bit more controversial than that.
Here's my other controversial take. Smoking looks pretty cool.
Andrew, I am so on board with that.
I know it's bad. I
know.
won't do it. Don't worry. It's okay. But every time I see one, I'm like, bad boy.
That is a bad boy and they look cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I just want to hold one.
Okay.
And just look like I know what I'm doing with my life.
I just want to say, regardless of everything, you would hold it like such a French poet bullshit. Like you would hold it with like your backhand. You're like, oh, so sorry. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God.
I do hold my joints when I'm smoking like I'm a soldier in the trenches.
You just rolled it in between trench foot and you're like, oh God.
I cover the cherry with my hand as though the enemy can spot it from across the no man's land.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good.
Those are controversial opinions.
Those are very controversial opinions, and I think that we're going to have a ton more as we talk about gaming's hottest takes this week on the Retrograde Podcast.
Sizzling.
What's so hot? Welcome to the Retrograde Video Game Podcast, where this week we right video game wrongs with our hottest takes of all time.
God, my name's Andrew Bascom. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself.
Mikey O'Reilly, Aaronworth.
Is this a Bill O'Reilly thing?
Yeah. Because, I figure I'm going to spend the next hour or so making very controversial statements, so I should start from a place of being grounded.
Yeah.
Very rational statements. And just, being an overall trustworthy dude.
Yeah, right. Bill O'Reilly. Trustworthy guy.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Well, no, it's weird though, because when you say that, it's almost as though you're like flippant about it.
Well, he's got he's kind of a famous guy. He's very controversial. Some people like him, some people don't.
Well, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, to the left, he's controversial.
Right. Yes.
No, to the left.
To the left.
Correct.
To the right. To the left. Step back.
The cha-cha slide.
Yeah, of course.
I'm super excited about this.
Yes.
To be talking about some of our... Look, we're not coming out with the purpose of making people pissed off, but we do have some pretty big opinions on gaming. Sometimes they come up on this podcast. This kind of came about as a result of the last 10 minutes or so of our Doki Doki Literature Club episode, where we were talking about what constitutes a game. What is a game? Is Doki Doki Literature Club a game, or is it a visual novel?
Yeah.
And if so, is a visual novel a game?
Yeah.
All these sorts of things are conversations that happen usually on Twitter in all caps lock, but we're going to try to contain them with some more exciting arguments. And that's why you've joined us, your two favorite video game journalists, which you've never heard of.
Yeah, 100%. I always love listening to Mario is a fascist and then 9 numbers afterwards. And you're like, yeah, that's the guy I go to for video game opinions.
Yeah.
But yes, we have lots of opinions on games. And yes, we're going to be a little sizzling with these. I'm not going to try and always be negative, and I'm always not trying to be right. I'll just tell you that too.
Okay.
But I'm telling you my opinion, and I could care less about what you guys think about it.
No, that's a good point, actually.
Strap in.
I think these probably come from a point of, what if video games were made for me and me only?
Yes.
And then trying to plant a flag in that argument to say, and it's not necessarily to say universally every game needs to follow these new rules.
Yeah.
New rules.
New rules.
But it's more to say, like, these would be curious things to consider in the realm of gaming. How much can I convince you that is the case?
And, like most lists and things that we do, Mikey and I have not discussed this previously.
No.
I have no idea what's on your list.
No.
We do such a good job. We talk all the time and yet hide these things from each other. We sit here before we start recording for like 40 minutes talking about everything.
Yeah.
But we shall not let each other know what is on our list.
We shan't.
It's too hot.
It's too hot.
Sizzling.
Sizzling.
Mhm.
How many times are you going to say sizzling this episode?
Quite a few.
Okay.
Yeah. Hot's boring.
Hot's boring.
Sizzling is interesting.
Sizzling is interesting.
Are you just repeating me?
I'm just trying to like, look, we're not going to be agreeing much over the course of this episode. So
do you agree with that hot take that sizzling is more interesting than hot?
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, see what I'm doing? What the hell is that?
Well, you're trying to, we're trying to be controversial.
Okay, this is going to be my first hot take.
Yeah, we're being
sizzling is
combative.
more interesting than hot. Yet,
Mm.
you can't say sizzling takes. That makes no sense.
See, here's why I disagree with that,
Okay.
though. Because hot
Mhm.
can contain within it flavors. Sizzling is more of an acoustic thing to accompany a
Mhm.
dish.
But it's insinuated that it's hot when it sizzles.
Hot in terms of temperature,
Right.
but hot sizzling is hot in terms of temperature.
Oh, so
but hot
you-
can be flavor as well.
So you think like spice
Yeah.
is more than actual heat?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That is quite a sizzling hot take.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
Mikey,
Yes.
until we get to our sizzling hot takes,
Yes.
though, what have you been playing some video games?
Andrew, I've been playing some video games. It's what a great question.
Thank
by
you
the
very
way.
much. Video Game
I've been
Podcast.
continuing my journey through Night City.
Oh, yeah. How's that going?
Cyberpunk is a game that I find myself consistently wanting to come back to.
Okay.
Which is a compliment I
Yes.
will give it. While I'm playing it, here's a big problem that I have with RPGs in general.
Okay.
I can't help but feel while I'm playing it that all I'm thinking about is how I'm probably playing the game wrong.
Yeah.
How I should be putting points into other things. Every time I take out my shotgun, I'm like, shouldn't I be leveling up my rifle?
Yeah,
Every time I go stealth, I'm like, but you said you were going to role play as a brawler.
Mhm.
And every time I brawl, I'm like, but this isn't really fun. And I just, it's hard for me to play it naturally, knowing that there are a set number of perks and attribute points that you have to kind of dole out accordingly.
Is that an issue with the game, Bob Dole? Is that an issue with the game or is that an issue with you?
It's an issue with me,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
Because here's something I'm very envious about, and we've kind of talked about this before on the podcast, is people who can play a role-playing game the way it's intended, which is by playing a role.
Mhm.
I always have this, it's always like stealth, dex, good guy. That's how I play every video game. And it's not always a fun way to play the video game. Sometimes I want to be a bit of a numbskull.
Yeah.
A bit of a bad boy.
Yeah.
But when it comes time to make
Outside
a
the
decision
podcast.
outside the podcast.
Yeah. Which on the podcast, big bad boy.
big, so bad.
Me big bad boy.
Me big bad boy. That little dinky Andy.
Okay.
Spank his bottom.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Spank his bottom.
Wait.
Show us your butt.
honestly, last episode, I promised you I was showing my little butt.
Get banned from YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
Just salute.
Yeah, well, it's been fun, everybody. Here's my little butt. And then the national anthem plays in a soaring eagle, and we sign off forever. Yeah, I get that. I totally get that because I'm currently playing Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of parallels here.
The Donkey Kong sequel, as we talked about last episode.
Right. Yeah, which you were wrong about, and then we talked about it off air, and you said you wouldn't do that again. So just, like...
Oh, that doesn't sound like me. Oh, no, we already established I am a bad boy on the podcast.
On the
but I'm a
podcast. Then
good
off the
boy
podcast. You're such a sweetheart.
I'm such a
You're such a nice guy. And then I got to deal with you for like a couple hours a week. So this is very similar, okay?
Yes.
So I'm doing the same thing where I can upgrade guns, I can
Yes.
upgrade cars, vehicles, aesthetics, things like that, right? And I do the same thing where I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, I really use a shotgun a lot, but then I'm like, maybe great to use a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And now I have 2 half good
That's
guns
That's
instead of one singularly great gun.
Most games kind of demand a little bit of min-maxing as well, which is always a little bit of a buzzkill. It's what I dislike all through February. I was talking about dating sims, about the idea of min-maxing, like put all of your eggs in one basket. I kind of like the idea of playing organically, but the premise of an RPG requires you to, like the fig tree metaphor by Sylvia Plath that I always bring up. Yeah. By selecting one fig, you are declining all the other figs.
Yes.
And I want to eat. I want to gorge myself on figs. Yeah. I want to gorge myself on rifle-shaped figs and shotgun-shaped figs and hacking-shaped figs. Yes. But I just can't do it. I'm closing the door on, or at least that's what it feels like to me, on all of the other ways to play the game. Yeah. Which to me is like, I don't understand in an RPG why there isn't a very easy way that maybe doesn't even involve like a currency exchange to reset all of your perks and statistics. Yeah. Like in every game should have it. Yeah. And it should be relatively easy to do. Because in Cyberpunk, I think you can reset your attributes, but I don't know if you can set your perks back. So perks will give you like specific abilities like plus 5% to your handgun or the ability to quick hack people or more RAM to it's not going to mean much if you haven't played the game, but just to little specific individual attributes, whereas the general broad scope of dumping money into or dumping currency into, sorry, those are perks, but attributes would be like strength or stealth or things like that. I think you can reset the attributes, but you can't reset the perks, which is a bit of a bummer. Yeah. No, okay. I totally get that. Yeah. I Far Cry is great and all that, but like there are so much customizables and there's so much out there at any one time. And there are so many enemies. And here's my issue. The enemies are not difficult to kill. Oh yeah. So it's just a bunch of them. I can headshot like a motherfucker. Yes. I'm just in there like dink and just, do motherfuckers headshot a lot? Oh, that's singularly their greatest gift to the world. I would have assumed it's fucking mothers. No. That's a job. Oh, that is. They got it. Like no one takes joys in their job. They just show up, clock, clock in, fuck a bunch of mothers. Fuck a bunch of mothers. Fuck a buck was in there somewhere. Maybe mother deers, I guess. Fuck a buck. Fuck a buck. And then they clock out and then they go, time to headshot some motherfuckers. Now, are all motherfuckers are headshotters, but are all headshotters motherfuckers? See, that's a great question. Yeah. The first one was, I'll take my answer off the yeah. The former, not the latter. Like literally I'm walking around like Jesus Christ playing John Wick. Like I am knocking people's heads off left and right. And that is fun. Every time it does make you feel a little powerful. Yeah, of course. But you kind of go like, I wonder if I could have made this more difficult on myself a little bit. So that's something I've also struggled with in a lot of games. And for some reason, the example I always give is a game called Prototype. Okay. Which was an old game on probably the Xbox 360 or something like that and PlayStation 3 around that era. It was like an open world game where you were kind of like an anti-hero. You had these abilities, almost like the Incredible Hulk on Ultimate Destruction. Yeah. Love where you get these abilities, but the way that they make it more difficult is not by throwing like one or two good interesting enemies at you. It's by throwing 50 of the same easy enemies at you and overwhelming you with quantity. And even that game may have been a bit different from Far Cry, because in Far Cry, it seems like they'll have more enemies, like a quantity, but they'll place them in a way where it kind of makes each interaction a puzzle. At least that's what they did in like Far Cry 3. So I'm assuming it's kind of the same thing. Same thing. Yeah. What I really dislike in games is when there's no thought given to the puzzle or to the individual one-on-one combat mechanics. They're just like, is this too easy for you? Okay, here's 50 more putties from Power Rangers to kill. Yeah. Yeah. Can I tell you one more thing that annoys me? Sure. I don't want to step on your hot takes thing here. Okay. This is not on my hot takes. Okay. But it is kind of a hot take. Okay. Except, here's the thing. I don't think anyone disagrees with me. Okay, animals in video games. Yes. Annoying. Right? Dogs especially. Attack animals. Yes. That are cute in general. I don't like shooting animals in video games. How about that? I don't like shooting animals in video games. Sizzling hot take. I love shooting animals in video games. I don't like that they can attack me back. In the video games? Yes. Okay. Yes. In Far Cry 6, you can was that? No animal in real life has ever been able to hit me. No. That's all I'm saying. Have you ever been bit by an animal? They've tried. Yeah. Oh, Andrew, they've tried. So no, the answer is no? The answer is no. Oh, okay, good. No. What a long way to one of my exes, Andrew, was quite a real dog. Sorry, yeah. In Far Cry 6, there's cockfighting. And just
joke writes itself. And
I don't find that funny.
okay, good. I'm glad you don't. So that's already, there's a little bit of animal violence involved in there as you are like in a fight level.
You're like, wait, do you control?
Yeah, you control the rooster, and you put little razor blades on your
way.
and you go kill a chicken. Yeah.
That is, wait, so it's cock versus chicken in this one?
Well, I understand. Aren't they all chickens and some are roosters, some are hens?
Oh, is that true?
I don't know.
Oh,
I have no idea what I'm talking
Andrew,
about.
we should go back to school.
99% of the words coming out of my mouth, I have no idea if this is true or not.
This is the worst thing about having a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst things. The other is this interaction.
Yeah.
Is whenever you put a clip out online, sometimes you get just a really little thing wrong. And people online love to tell you about it. They love to tell you about it.
Well, you'll notice though, like on TikTok and stuff, people get stuff intentionally wrong all the time. Just the smallest thing.
Just to give.
To drive interaction and stuff like that.
Yes.
Which I could not imagine living my life like that. Like intentionally getting something wrong so that 10 million people could call me a fucking idiot.
It's 100% because I unintentionally get it wrong and I spend all day thinking about it.
Okay, so animals in video games.
Yes.
The problem is there's so many attack dogs, alligators are attacking you,
Mm-hmm.
everyone's on horseback that some trying to run you over sometimes and things like that. You have to be kind of okay with just killing animals after a while. You're like desensitized. And so the greatest gift that I ever had now that I don't care anymore.
N64?
Is that was the best Christmas of my life. But is a horse coming running at you and just like, okay, and just dropping at proximity bind and dodging out of the way. And that horse gets sent 40 feet in the air. You just got to be okay with it if you're going to play the game. Like, it's just
40 feet in the air, more like air biscuit.
Yeah, there's no rules to say a horse can't fly. It's a lot, but yeah, the dogs coming at you, I'm always like, oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
And then
it's less about killing animals because, I mean, I know there are people out there who can play a video game and make the mean decision or kill an innocent person and it doesn't affect them at all.
They're a nice person.
That does affect me for some reason.
Yep.
Like it's hard for me to like, I understand it's a video game, but I still feel bad doing it. I don't usually feel bad killing an animal that's attacking me in a game, but I do just hate the process of killing dogs in games because of the way they move. I always find them frustrating to deal with. Dogs, rats, and things like Elden Ring and all that stuff. Just the small, fast things that pack way too much of a punch. Resident Evil dogs, fuck right off.
I get that because it's annoying to do. I just putting a gun to a dog's head is such an odd, like, okay. And I will say the last thing about the animals though is I just did a level with speaking of the cockfighting, where I had to go get the, I don't know, blades that this one rooster wears. And you're in this creepy cave doing it. And the guy's like, I don't like this. This is kind of creepy. And on your way, you got them. And then you turn around and then the spotlight, there's just a shadow of a rooster. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he starts attacking you. It is like a horror movie and it is so funny and so scary.
That's actually amazing.
Great job.
That's a great joke.
That is my update on Far Cry 6, a game that came out a couple years ago.
Far Cry, though, has always had very good writing.
Yep.
I remember.
Yep.
And although sometimes it's a little bit cliche, it's always fun and self-aware. And moments like that are kind of the reason why.
Totally.
Yeah.
It should have been just a stupid fetch mission, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah. Now you got to kill a chicken.
And I got to kill quite a few.
Well, we do that every day. I mean, we just did I Love You, Colonel Sanders a couple weeks ago.
Killed so many chickens.
We killed so many chickens.
Yeah, so many fowls.
Speaking of hot fried chicken, Andrew, it's time to give some hot fried takes.
Oh, these takes have been in the deep fryer.
They have been in the deep fryer. So basically what we want to do is talk about some of the things that have really stuck in our craw lately.
Okay.
We'll each give this opinion, kind of like a one-word thing. I think you or I will say, or not a one word, sorry, a one line.
Oh my God. I was like, we give one word that's very controversial and you're like.
Shields.
Yeah. Huh?
One line.
Women. Oh no. We're doing this again. I thought video games were past this.
Yeah. No.
No,
Andrew,
God,
come on.
No, we're not. So much misogyny.
Speaking of actually, like when people purposely try to do things wrong online, the last video that we posted on TikTok, I made the initial like entry text, 2 men podcasting about kissing women or something.
Okay.
Knowing that some people would just see that and think like, fuck, this is bullshit. And one person did.
One person was the first commenter.
Yeah, was like, I don't think so, skull emoji. And I'm like, all right, I see you. I know what you're doing. Yeah. So so I think what we'll do is you or I will say our take.
Okay.
We will have a moment where the other person can immediately jump on it. with like one little like rebuttal.
Okay.
An immediate.
Oh, it's a debate.
An immediate impression, or an agreement. Whatever. And then it goes back onto the original person to say a couple points, and then discussion will ensue.
I love it.
So Andrew, do you want to go first?
Okay.
Because I really want to go first.
Okay, then you please go first.
No, you said okay.
No,
so
Mike,
like,
you really want to go?
I really want you to be happy.
I'm always happy. You go first.
Okay. You sure?
Oh, absolutely.
You
I've
okay?
never been more sure about something in my life.
Okay, that sounds like an overstatement.
First hot take. First hot take. Mikey's an asshole.
That's again.
Yeah.
We're trying to do things people don't agree with.
Sorry, that was a prologue. You go with your first.
So my first take here.
Yes.
This is something that I think, I don't know how much you will want to argue against this, because I'm not sure this is a genre of game for you.
It's your hot take.
Video game industry. You're on notice. The best Metroidvania games ever made are neither Metroid games nor Castlevania games.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I love it.
Now, full respect in the world to Metroid and Castlevania as franchises. They are our grandfathers.
Yeah.
They are the Buster Keaton and Charlie Sheen of our worlds.
Very good. The great comedic geniuses of all time.
Two great comedic geniuses. Buster Keaton and
Kevin
the other
James.
slapstick.
He rode a little thing on Malcott. Come on. Like, fuck
He got
off.
good at the segue, man.
He's so good at the
Paul
segue.
Blart.
Yeah. There's two of them.
There were two.
Yeah.
The first one, not that bad. Not as good as anything Charlie Sheen's done.
No.
But all the credit in the world to Metroid and Castlevania for being the trendsetter, for being the godfather, grandfather of this genre. But I think the mantle has been passed and they've been superseded. Now, I'm going to give a couple examples.
I was going to ask.
I'm going to give two examples.
Okay.
One is a strict one-to-one comparison of a type of game that would be like a side scroller, like fits within the genre, borrows some newer elements. The other is a game that I don't think many people would call a Metroidvania game, but borrows from the concept of a Metroidvania game to create an action RPG.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar, because I'm
please.
sure some of you listening may not know what a Metroidvania game is, the typical concept of what I'm imagining when I say this is there's usually a set, a lot of Metroidvania games are on a 2D plane, kind of platformer style, but there is a story to go through, and as the story progresses, you'll notice that there are areas you cannot access. And then when you beat a certain task or objective, you usually unlock a new tool or ability that allows you to access those previously inaccessible areas.
Yes.
So you can double back and backtrack, making this a world as opposed to a level, which something like Mario is you go left to right. This is left, right, up, down, backtracking, more of an exploration element of the game. But the real key tactic that I'm kind of focusing on here is the fact that the world opens up as you progress the story.
Okay.
The first game I'll give is a game that I've mentioned on the podcast before a few times.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Metroidvania, are they named that because those were the first games to use that style, or were regarded as the best games in that style?
Good question.
Thank you.
I know that
I'll take my answer off the air.
we're just two silent people. Just the cameras are on, still rolling. I think Metroid would have been one of the first ones to do it that way, and Castlevania would have been around a similar time doing similar things. But I don't know that they were necessarily the first. I know like a roguelite or a roguelike is literally referencing the game Rogue, which would change every time you booted it up. Now, are Metroidvanias and Castlevania or Metroidvanias, are they specifically saying that because these were the first or the best? I actually don't know that for sure. I would assume they were among the first, though, if nothing else.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So I will say this first game that I mentioned on the podcast before, and I especially when Metroid Dread came out, I was like, Metroid Dread, good attempt, but there's no way it's a better game than Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight.
I think Hollow Knight is an updated, advanced version of what Metroid was trying to do. And now, you and I played Metroid on this podcast like years ago.
Yeah.
And it's fucking great.
It's a great game.
It holds up.
Yeah.
Mechanically, still super fun. It's still totally worth checking out. But as they try to add more and more elements to the genre that they've created, I feel like they kind of lose the thread a little bit, as they did in Metroid Dread. Hollow Knight takes all the elements of exploration and borrows elements as well from like a Dark Souls game where you can kind of lose progression and gain progression. Some people argue it's a little bit too long. I might tend to agree with that, but I think it encapsulates what Metroid would have done in its first game if it had all the technology at its disposal, and it just brings it into a modern day. Now, it's not a shot at Metroid, but it is to say that someone else has come to take the idea and has done it better. You know, Bobby Hull was the first person to do a slap shot.
Sure.
He's not the greatest slap shotter of all time.
No.
But we still salute him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. It's a complicated character. Rest in peace. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's a pretty good, hot take.
Pretty good hot take. Can I give my other one? My other game, sorry.
Oh, yeah, they're a game. Yeah.
And then my other two hot takes.
Yeah, I was going to be like, and I'm done. I'm like, oh, okay.
The other game I want to give that I think is better, at least in the recent Metroid, at least in Metroid Dread. So they are doing this style of game concurrently better than Metroid or Castlevania. And it's Batman Arkham Asylum.
Whoa. Explain.
So a 3D game
in
3D space, lived in world, feels fairly linear.
Wow.
But you're noticing as you go that there are elements of the environment that you can't get through. You get the blast gel, you get the grappling hook, you get an ability to, I think, glide, and all these things allow you to access different parts of the map. Exact same concept of a Metroid game, but just done with a Batman aesthetic and in a way that really, like, you talk about what Metroid did when that game came out to create sort of a new genre. Batman also did that with Arkham Asylum. So people may poo-poo the idea of being like, well, it's a more modern game. You're just liking it because it's Batman. Look at all the games that we've got since Arkham Asylum that have mimicked that style. Yeah. So it brought the genre forward a little bit, and to that I would give it quite a bit of credit.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a good opening sizzling hot take. I give it 2.5 sizzles out of 4.
Okay. And what if I were to ask, because I don't really care. I don't need your approval.
Of course.
I stand on my own.
Yeah. You stand in general.
I stand myself.
Yeah, you do.
So I don't really care.
Okay.
That much. I'm not going to think about it tonight.
Okay.
2.5 out of 4.
Yeah, 2.5 out of 4.
However, if I wanted to increase the score, theoretically, what is that? What is my take missing?
I would say something more hot. Like actually, Castlevania is one of the worst Metroidvania games of all time.
So you want me to lie?
No.
Okay.
I just want you to choose a harder corner to stand on as you're getting pelted by eggs. So 2.5 sizzlies out of 4 for you.
So we're rating controversy and point argued?
Yeah, controversy and point argued.
Okay, I like it.
Just did something on the fly. Okay, my first one. I'm going to warm up. I'm not going to go.
Give me
Come out with the guns a-blazing. What am I doing here?
Because I got my eggs ready for you.
Yeah. Hey, these eggs are boiling hot. I boiled them first.
Sizzling hot.
How are they hot? Okay. Hot take number 1.
Yeah.
VR is just the new 3D. 3D movies took over the world 10 to 15 years ago. Oh my God, everything. They sold 3D TVs, for God's sakes. Goggles that you could take at home. Whatever. It changed the movies forever. But where did it go? What happened to it? How did it progress? It didn't, because people realize they don't like wearing goofy shit on their face, and they have no problem with the original media the way it was. It is nothing more than a sideshow. And so I believe, fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg, that this is a fad that will go the same way as 3D. That is my first take.
Okay, question to pose to the pontificator.
Yeah, that would be me.
When you say VR, are you referring to it in its current form, i.e. goggles, sensors, things in your hand?
I am currently, but I think it's also that will make it die before the next progression of like something super sleek will come out.
So where does the concept of the holodeck fit in to your...
Fits in Star Trek.
It fits in Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's exactly where it fits in.
It does. Yeah, that's where it, yes.
And it fits perfectly in.
Yes, it does. You usually have an angry Scottish person running it. They usually don't have enough power. And I'm screwing up the story of Star Trek, but you get what I'm saying.
No, what I mean is your concern that there are technical limitations to the bulkiness and unwieldiness of VR? Like, what if this room just were a holodeck and you kind of like zone out and all of a sudden you're in this space?
Obviously, that would be really, really cool. But even then, I do worry that is just kind of like what we're talking about with visual novelization and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That might be something something entirely different.
Like not a VR game.
Which it might be just something a different endpoint. And that might one day take off, but I don't think it's going to threaten the idea that like all video games are going to become VR. It's kind of like the shitty way that we took movies and everything got applied a 3D graphic to it because like, oh, we need to do that.
Yeah.
And for a bit there, video games like, oh, we need a VR version of this. We need to capitalize on this market. I think it's cool because I think the technology is still a little bit bulky.
Yeah.
And people have a tough time with it a little bit. It makes people sick. You need space, all this kind of stuff. I just think we have too many roadblocks in the way. And people have assumed that it's just going to take over way before people have.
So do you think we're never going to reach a point where it has impregnated mass culture, like pop culture, where it's like everyone's got a VR station in their house?
I don't believe that will happen.
Really?
No.
I fundamentally disagree with that. I think we are in the iPad version 1 phase of VR, where everyone is going to have a screen or a tablet or a computer that turns into a tablet. I think everyone is going to have some method of connecting to the VR world. And now I thought that the thing that interested me most about Oculus, Oculus.
Okay.
Was always the fact that it promised more than just gaming. It promised experiences. Yeah. You could visit spaces. You could have virtual meetings. I think that where Meta went wrong is by kidifying it, by making the avatars these kind of goofy little childlike things. Yep. I think the closer we get to kind of like photorealism in those spaces, our avatars being like more realistic representations of ourselves or the version of ourselves that we want to portray. I think that is going to be the future of meeting spaces and visitation. But then this again goes to your point of like, we're not talking about video games anymore.
No, we're not. I understand that there might be more of a lifestyle thing than anything else. And a lot of businesses have definitely leaned into the idea that will be the way that we interact.
Right.
And obviously us not having offices and stuff like that might be the first step of this. You know, we need a way to gather. But then again, you also face immediate backlash in stage 1 of people like, I don't know if I want to do that. And you're like, oh, okay.
Sure.
So like even the fact that we haven't gotten to VR aspects and we're just like, oh, you don't get to see your coworkers. And they're like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's roadblocks immediately of doing this. And I think we've seen some early technology stuff of other things that have just kind of, maybe just, like, hope everyone's NFTs are doing okay. Things like that, where it's like, I think we were so quick to invest so heavily into it, obviously based on Meta's huge investment, that I would be much more cautious than the other people are.
It's funny because there are certain branches of technology that I just, in my mind, it's like so hard for me to wrap my head around how someone can't see it as an inevitability. It has its absolute pitfalls. And one of them that I think hasn't been reconciled yet is the more realistic you get. I'm talking specifically with games.
Yeah.
The less you can actually let someone be special in that space. You can't be a superhero because you can't fly, like you can't shoot guns because you don't have good aim. You can't, there are certain things where it's like,
interesting.
How can you play NBA 2K in VR? Like there's already a ton of reasons why you can't right now.
Yeah.
But if I'm not a good basketball player, does that now mean I cannot play this game in VR?
That's interesting, because then does every shot kind of go in but then you're tricking yourself and you're like,
there's this weird, like I know that I could never play in the NBA. The way my knee currently is, but I'm rehabbing it. So I'm thinking maybe at some point I'll be back.
I think I'm going to declare for the draft next year.
I think I'm going to
see.
I'm gonna make myself
who knows?
eligible.
Maybe a second rounder, late second rounder, Memphis, something.
Here's one thing. Complete aside. Do you think there ever will be a case of someone as a complete joke declaring themselves, and as a follow-up joke, the team drafting them as a marketing ploy?
That feels like a 70s thing, where like we were still doing the thing of like
Spud McKenzie or whatever, running for president.
Yeah. Like Chicago White Sox are like, we're going to draft a little person, and because their strike zone will be very small, and everyone wears shorts. I think that was more of like the Carnival Barker era, where now everything is just there's much money.
That was Bruce's grandfather.
Bruce Barker? You mean
Bob?
Bob Barker?
Well, Bruce was Bob's dad. And Carnival was his.
Oh, right. You just did a 23andMe. Yeah. Okay. Like, you have to show me the tree.
I'll show you the tree in glorious, stunning VR, Andrew.
I know. Because everyone showed me, like, speaking of basketball, you're sitting courtside and you're like watching the game and stuff like that. I just wonder, will people want to do that?
So my belief there is they won't have a choice. And this isn't an authoritarian thing. It is just that technology will advance to a point where it's like, sure, you can still order the newspaper and read it every morning, but at a certain point, that is so much less convenient than just getting the news on your phone.
Okay.
And I remember everyone, when people were talking about the internet getting big, I remember like news broadcasts being like, one day you'll grab your coffee and sit at your computer and download the newspaper. And it's like, not even realizing how dumb it is to call it a newspaper on. That's not in our lexicon anymore.
Yeah.
But that kind of resistance or an inability to see how convenient it's going to mesh with our world. My overall thinking, though, is we're not going to need things like screens or headsets anymore, because it's all going to be like
digitally or
a chip or something like
implemented. Yeah.
Which is weird, because like now all of a sudden you're saying things that like Elon Musk is saying, so people like paint you with a certain brush. But I'm like, no, it is a matter of bandwidth. Like screens are going to seem so arbitrary at like 20 years from now.
Oh, you think it's 20 years from now?
100%.
Oh,
100%.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, there we go. I would say, there's been a lot of technology that is usually felt inevitable, that people have sold you and told you that it's going to be a big thing.
For sure.
And it goes by the wayside. I just wonder what people's temperature for this kind of stuff is going to be.
And also, like, the biggest argument that supports what you're saying is, I physically cannot be in that space too long, and I'm a capital G gamer.
Yeah, you're an avid supporter of what I'm saying,
and I get sick. I get sick doing it. Like, I know it's tough.
I just wonder, as society gets more, whoa, this is becoming weirdly philosophical. I didn't mean it to be, but as society becomes more and more isolated, I just think there will be certain things that people will be like, oh, okay, no, this is not it. You know what I mean? Like, the streaming thing is one thing, and everyone sits at home alone now in a little box and they do their thing and stuff like that. I just wonder if that there might be a step too far that people are like, oh no, I don't want to do it.
Isn't there an argument you can make, though, to say that fully advanced and realized VR allows for further isolation because your experiences with people don't need to be close?
Yeah, but I've also think that we found that we always make that, like, social media should have brought us together, right? But it's only isolated us more.
Right.
You know what I mean? The fact that you meet your coworkers over Zoom and not in person. I think these kind of things, while having the trappings of something that would make you actually talk to people more and more connected,
do the opposite.
Actually isolate you more often.
Yeah. No, I meant more that it allows for the opportunity to maintain social interaction if you want it, but live farther. Like urban sprawl could be solved by fully realized VR in a lot of ways.
I completely agree with you, except we found that rural living is dying like left and right because it just, I don't think people are stopping to moving to cities anymore.
Yes.
I think we found that, like, remember during the pandemic, people were like, New York's dead.
Yeah.
New York is dead. Man, does everyone look pretty stupid right now.
Everyone looks pretty dumb. Pretty dumb. It just turns out they were inside.
But they couldn't afford to live in the most expensive city in the world when you didn't have a job.
That's true.
Yeah, and everyone moved home to their parents in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great houses there.
Yeah. I moved back to Pennsylvania.
I moved to someone's parents in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I just took over someone's house.
It was awesome. Andrew, great point.
Thank you very much.
Fundamentally, I think I disagree with it, but I'm not confident enough to say that VR as we currently know it will be the technology that gets us to where I imagine humans will be.
I appreciate that compromise.
Here's one.
Okay. Here we go. Let's reset us back to something sizzling.
Here's something sizzling.
All right.
We talked about
get the
RPGs.
hibachi on. What's that?
Get the hibachi on?
Yeah. We got wheat sizzling.
Get some hibachi on the hibachi.
These eggs are boiling.
Still? I forgot to throw them at you.
I'm starting to really worry. Where did you get these eggs from?
Cockfights.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know how they are eggs.
They're really moving.
Okay. We talked about RPGs.
Yes.
We talked about Cyberpunk.
Yes.
We've spoken recently over the past few weeks about God of War. Not saying this has to be for every game. RPGs need to no longer allow upgrades for unique armor and weapon sets. I want one upgrade mechanic for the concept of weapons and the concept of armor, and that is it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So this goes back to what you were talking about with Cyberpunk, right?
Cyberpunk and God of War.
Yeah, but like a lot of things that upgrade, but you were having trouble with Cyberpunk recently.
Yes.
Of saying, I don't want to upgrade this and not this.
Sure. And specifically, I think this is a huge blind spot in video games. We've always allowed the upgrading. Let's talk swords and shields and armor, because that's like the typical RPG.
Yeah.
Let's talk swords, shields,
and
armor.
Sandals. Let's do it.
Swords, sandals, shields, armor. we've always had this understanding that in an RPG you upgrade the weapon that you have and the armor that you have. Sometimes armor, like in Dark Souls, for example, you can't really upgrade armor. Not every Dark Souls franchise, and I like that. God of War, though, you can. You can, so much so that you can upgrade a breastplate and a curious and I think that's how you say it.
What is a curious?
Curious?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the
I'm curious.
The shoulder thing? Like the curious is like the shoulder kind of
like a bag? You're talking about a purse?
No, not like a bag. It's like an armor, like an army piece, like a curious.
But it's on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's like a shoulder.
Like shoulder pads?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Shoulder and chest.
Oh.
It's like a one piece. I'm pretty sure that's a curious.
Curious.
Or maybe curious is the skirt thing.
Okay. It's
like a metal skirt.
A metal skirt.
Regardless,
fashionable.
You can upgrade that specific one. Or
fashion corner with Mikey.
Or your bracers. Or your armor set. And what that does is precludes you from experimenting with different builds.
Okay.
Same thing with your weapons. Every little bit of upgrade material that I get in God of War has to go into one unique set or unique item. Linda's like bracers of whatever that upgrade poison.
Oh,
I'd like to see a poison build, so I'm going to upgrade that. And now I can no longer upgrade the other things.
Yes.
Not everyone has multiple playthroughs in video games.
Right.
So I want to experience as much as I can. I want to play in the sandbox. I want to like either let me break the repair materials down, or just have one set or one statistic for armor. And I can upgrade armor, and that gives you your set of perks, which strengthens every bit of armor that you put on. Same with the weapons, same with whatever else.
So, but doesn't that lose a little bit of specialization in the video game?
I don't think it has to.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to imagine when, like, it could in the sense that it's like, well, I have this fully upgraded spear and you have that fully upgraded sword, so let's fight. But it's still the constant, which you can remove from the equation, is fully upgraded. Like usually most PvP, if that's what we're talking about in RPGs and stuff like Dark Souls or something, everyone who's taking part in it with any sort of seriousness has fully upgraded everything.
Okay.
So the level that they've upgraded to, take it off the table. So why do I need to fully upgrade a unique spear?
Right.
As opposed to just having a weapon skill and all of my resources go towards that. So my weapons, instead of my spear being level 11 and me picking up a sword that I think is cool, but now I have to build it up from 0 to 11 in order to have any comparative understanding of how good one is versus the other. Just let me upgrade a weapon skill, and then any weapon I swap out at that given time, it will be at the same level, so I can compare, like, sure, I like the way this one swings, but this one's more powerful, and then I can make an informed decision. Yeah. As opposed to dumping resource materials into something that maybe I'm not going to end up wanting by the end.
Right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. But the specialization that maybe you kind of talked about, Linda's Poison, from the Linda Poison shop.
Sure.
You're thinking that those kind of things don't exist, or it just comes all part and parcel once you hit a certain level? I think
it's that and
then you decide.
I think the armor itself can give you those perks.
Oh, okay.
And which means I can swap out the armor at will.
Yeah.
But the overall armor perk that I have means that regardless of which armor I'm putting in, it's always going to be at the same level, so I can compare them one to one. Now, one armor may give me the ability to poison enemies, and one may give me lightning resistance, and one may look really cool.
Yeah.
But I can swap out of them at any given time and not worry about me giving up strength or not being able to play with one just because I decided at one point in the playthrough that I liked one more.
Okay.
I never want to upgrade anything when I'm playing these games because I never know if the next mission I'm going to get something that I like better.
Okay, so you famously stated one time that you want to do like a jump scare mode where you can be able to turn off jump scares.
Yes.
Can you be able to, so how about this? You turn on this mode that you're talking about, and it's called indecisive mode. And
Mikey mode.
Mikey mode. It doesn't branch at all, much like Bruce and Bob and all the other barkers.
Sure.
It would just instead be one linear line, which I guess would be incest in this, but whatever. And there's one single line where that's all you do.
Sounds like a strong line.
It's an incredibly strong line. It helped populate this human world.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
It feels like it would have great teeth. No health issues.
No, none at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but they love procreating. And yeah, but don't like education that much. Funny enough.
Turns out.
Yeah, they have some curious opinions on religion. Yeah, so, but you know what I mean? Like that straight shot.
Sure.
And then how about that? Okay, so how about this?
Okay.
So upgrade, level 2, level 3. And then once you hit these levels, then it shows you all the benefits that you get outside of that. And then you can use some of these things. You know what I mean?
So it depends, because if like that to me just sounds like leveling up. which
isn't that what you're talking about?
Leveling up, but then usually what happens in games is you level up and that gives you access to perks.
Yes.
Which is also the case in God of War.
Okay.
And as long as by the end of it, you're
talking about perk sets, right?
Percocets.
Yeah.
Yes,
you get some perks.
Yes. Or Xanax.
Yeah. Crush them up, snort them.
Of course.
Have a great time on
do,
the town.
Do it the way they're God intended.
Yeah. Go to a 3D movie like I was talking about.
No, so that's one element of like leveling up and then deciding perks. That would be like the combat mechanics in God of War, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But it's for me, it's like it's the experimentation with different armor sets and everything that I find not knowing where exactly they go, I get in my own way and limit myself from experimenting with it. So what I'm imagining, kind of like what you're saying, is the armor stat can be upgraded, and that means that all armor I put on is going to have the same multiplier effect as pertains to that level. So when I'm level 4, it's X amount, which happens every time you upgrade a specific armor set anyway. It's just that this would apply to all armor sets. So I can experiment a little bit more, try some new builds, and not be worried that I'm going to like put myself into a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
And
your baby.
Don't put baby in the corner.
Yeah, you are a sweet baby.
No, put all your upgrade materials in that corner. Yeah.
I think that's totally fair. No, I honestly, I think that makes a lot of sense. And your argument that I think is the really good one is going, I am a single person that has a finite number of hours in a week.
Right.
I'm not going to replay most games.
Sure.
If I beat God of War once, I'm probably only going to beat God of War once because it's a huge time commitment, right? So let me experience all of God of War because I'm putting the time in already.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good argument.
The one thing that I know some people will say is from
what are they going to say?
From a balancing perspective, it basically means that I can, like if you raise
the dead.
If you raise the dead, you pull a real Jesus situation.
Whoa.
Yeah. Lazarus has arisen.
Wow, very good. Good pull.
Thanks.
No problem.
If you raise 6 Pokemon,
okay,
and you have a set plan in mind, you have like you're focusing on grass and water and fire or whatever. The 6 that you raise will have certain weaknesses.
Yep.
And that's just something that you have to deal with as part of the balancing, because you're going to find yourself in situations where your strongest Pokemon cannot necessarily compete with a specific gym because it's stone and they don't have any weaknesses to what you have. And that's part of the excitement of a game, is knowing that you have strengths here and weaknesses here.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to quick swap out any armor set that gives you resistances or strengths to certain elements, then they might argue that the balance of the game is thrown off, because you'll never have that decision, that rock, paper, scissors element of the game of like, well, I'm very happy that I've got poison for this gym, but it's not really going to help me in this one. So it would take some rebalancing on part of the developers, but I would be very appreciative of it.
Well, there we go.
So do it for Mikey.
Do it for Mikey, guys. Do it for Mikey. That is Mikey's sizzling hot take there. Number 2. I'm going to go with my number 2.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. It should be international law on every controller. That the buttons. Okay, so we've all decided 4 buttons on the right side, little diamond formation. That seems to be the one that we've all agreed to.
We've gone for that.
We've all said that is the way we like it.
Yes.
Should be international law that they all have the same symbols.
Oh,
I don't want this proprietary nonsense. They're all the same fucking button. Why do I have to learn that this is a Y and that's a triangle and this is an X and that's an O? That is ridiculous. Can't we get over this petty nonsense?
Okay.
This is so silly.
In your mind, let's say there's a meeting.
100%. Yes. All the heads of the major video
heads of the major video game companies. Sony is going to say, we agree to everyone's terms, but the lower button is the X.
Right.
Nintendo says, I don't think so.
No, I don't like that.
Which one do you think goes in there? Which symbol?
Much to my three-party state idea between Palestine and Israel, I would agree. I think they need to compromise and come up with just new symbols.
Okay.
And that is the universal symbol we are all going to go with, so that we all don't have to do this bullshit thing of like, oh, you're playing an Xbox? That's right. You're like,
sure.
Excuse me, X and Y. And you're like, why are we doing this? This is so childish.
I kind of like the fact that you have identifiers.
No,
I'm serious. I'm serious.
You don't like that.
I like the fact that you have identifiers to be like when I see the square, circle, triangle, cross.
Yeah.
They call it cross, not X.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Religious folks, eh?
Very religious. Jesus was on that button. It means a very different thing. It evokes a different feeling than when I see the ABXY
Mikey,
for Xbox.
it evokes a different feeling from you. They are the same buttons.
They are the same buttons. But Andrew, have you ever been to a Michelin star restaurant?
Yes, I have.
Everything around you speaks to the experience that you're having with the intention of contributing to the taste overall,
right?
That you have that night. And I kind of think that with Xbox having kind of like this bold, like it's like the console is black and the controller is black and the buttons are this kind of neon and it pops a little bit. There's a feeling I have when I play Xbox that is different than the feeling I have immediately when I pick up a PlayStation controller. And I kind of like that.
So the symbol on the button, you have sentimentalized, so that it makes you have a different feeling, when you don't look down but touch it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it has to do with the prompts you see on the screen because you're going to get that button showing up in a QuickTime event or
counterpoint. QuickTime event sucks. That's a separate one I have. Every QuickTime event sucks and should be outlawed.
I totally agree. I'm taking a break. This is a cutscene. When God of War says to me, mash X.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm not mashing
How
X.
about no?
Yeah.
Do it yourself. Yes. I'm on a break right now.
But then you're like an X and you're like, oh my God.
No, I like the aesthetic. I like the fact that Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation have earned the right to burn these into your brain. I think Nintendo's is the worst.
Nintendo's has constantly been the worst, though. They have always, there's some sizzling hot takes about Nintendo that will not make my take this time, but man.
We will do this again, and I think we could have a Nintendo-only hot takes episode.
Holy boy, there is a lot of them. But yes, that is my symbol for ease of use, for accessibility, for you, my sweet D-pads. I think we should all stick with just the same colors or symbols. You decide. I don't care. I actually don't care what we decide on. Just make them all the same.
You know what I would say in terms of controllers?
What's that?
The one change I think we should make into universal law.
Yeah.
All controllers should have the option of back paddles.
Okay. See? Okay.
That's what I need.
See, you're the guy that, on my point one, is trying to get rid of controllers. And now you're like, no, I love controllers and they mean a lot to me.
I want to control them.
And when I see that color and symbol, I well up and I think about all these hardworking people that made a cross button for me.
Those colors don't run. But if you tap it real fast, your character might.
Oh, boy, will they.
Okay, no, I like it. I like it. I disagree. I like the branding. I'm a fan of aesthetics and explicit choices, especially to like look back on the history of the Xbox controller, for example.
Which we did over at the Mushroom Club.
One of the more fun projects that we took on the Mushroom Club, we tier ranked every single controller from S to D.
To D, yeah.
D's nuts.
SRDs, yes.
SRD's nuts.
Which was fun. It was good. And it was very similar to this. So if you like that, go over to patreon.com/RetroCrate
Yeah.
Because it's us negotiating and arguing a little bit.
Yeah.
But also, getting along for the most part. Except for the Duke. We disagreed on the Duke.
On the Duke,
yeah. That was the big one.
That was the original Xbox controller, and it was the best.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so I've got...
You got take number 3 now.
I've got take number 3 now. Okay, here's one for me. There are certain things we come to expect in the realm of video games.
Yes.
Certain things have become shorthand. However, some of those expectations need to change.
Okay.
I think that if something is so expected in a game, it should come out of the box. So I'm looking once again at games like Metroidvanias and RPGs to say the double jump should never be an unlockable in a video game.
Wow. Okay.
Ever. If your game is going to have a double jump, that needs to come standard, out of the box. We all know it's coming if we don't have it in a platformer.
Yep.
Let us do it from the beginning. Otherwise, what's the point?
What is a game that unlocks a double jump?
A lot of them do.
Really?
A lot of them do. Hollow Knight would be one of them.
Okay. You just said you loved Hollow Knight.
I do love Hollow Knight.
Okay.
I also do think it is too long. And I think maybe part of the way they could change that is by condensing that a little bit.
I also is hypocrite.
I is hypocrite. I love controllers. I love VR. I hate controllers in VR.
That sounds like an SAT question. A and C, B and D, none of them, all
none
of them. Yeah.
I think Metroid Dread might also not have a double jump in the beginning. It just feels like something that we all know is coming.
Yeah.
And there are more creative ways. If what you're trying to do is be like a Metroidvania and gate progress to say you can't reach this ledge until later, or you can't access this area until later, there are way more ways to do that than the double jump. The double jump is fun. It increases movement. It increases enjoyability. It adds more to combat. And to not have it in the beginning, especially when we all know it's coming, just feels like, why?
Yeah, I agree with you, because I have another point on here that it's not my sizzling hot take, but I was going to add, is showing off all your skills in the beginning of the game and then taking them away is lazy.
I hate that.
And you know what? It's kind of the same thing of like, we know you can do it. You just gotta like, okay, wait.
Yes.
Well, then what are we doing here?
And, you know, again, Metroid is getting dragged in these hot takes because Metroid does that a lot. Metroid gives you access to everything you can have, and then you always, Samus, you know, she's great at exploring the universe. Yeah. Horrible of holding on to her powers.
No, yes, yeah.
That suit just pops off like she's fucking Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, like we have a cheat code.
Like we have a cheat code and we see Justin Bailey.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, you like that one, eh? I agree with you on that. Yeah. Ooh, let me think about that. Why don't we all just take a second and think about that for a second? Nice. No, I agree with you. I think this is kind of a bigger, more systemic issue of like unlocking things, because another point that I have written down, but I couldn't figure out how it was going to be sizzling, was microtransactions.
Sure.
Right. And it's like the idea that like, I paid all this money for a game, and then you're like, no.
Yeah.
Do that. And you're like, oh, wait a second. Can't we just get on board here?
Especially like old school DLC. I found this out recently. The Xbox 360 kind of like introduced the idea of shipping a game with content on the disc that you had to pay for later to unlock it as DLC. Whoa. Happened in Skyrim, like, because not everyone had access to an internet connection for their Xbox. So they're like, let's put it on the disc and then we'll be able to sell it later. And if you put your Xbox 360 disc into an Xbox One, because some of them are low-key backwards compatible, they don't really advertise it. It comes with everything on the disc unlocked, which is almost just this other, like, I don't think that was an intention. It was probably, it's just like, fuck, if it was there, why are you making me pay for it? You're purposely holding things back.
Yeah.
Just like you are, like you're right, when with a double jump. And I put this to Twitter, I think around the time Metroid Dread came out.
Okay.
And I said that, like, this is kind of ridiculous that we're still not starting games with double jump, because it's I think Ori and the Blind Forest is one of them as well. And everyone was like, no, clearly you don't understand the concept of a Metroidvania. And I'm like, you don't understand that there are more creative ways to gate progress than a double jump.
Right.
It's so expected. It's like taking the easy joke and you know it's coming, and when they make the punchline, you're just like, okay, like finally we're at this point now. Like we knew we were going to get here.
Just like you responding, no, you don't understand. Eat my farts.
That's usually what I go to. Yeah. I like that. So yeah, double jump should always be in video games if your intention is there. One of the worst versions of that I remember was in the game Infamous.
Okay.
Where it was an
open... Which game you like?
A game I did like, yeah. I didn't play Second Son, but I did play the original, and I found it. That was an Insomniac game, actually.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. Oh. And I'm pretty sure it was. Pretty sure. Okay. And you did a lot of like traversal around the city. 100%.
Someone will let you know.
This will be a TikTok soon. Yeah. Infamous is
Look at this fucking idiot.
You do a lot of traversal and jumping from buildings, and you've got superpowers, but you don't unlock a glide until very late in the game, which just makes traversing so much more fun and free. And I remember starting the game over again after I beat it, thinking I was going to do another playthrough and being like, there's no fucking way I'm playing this game without a glide. Give me that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand how this is something you gate when it just leads to the overall enjoyment and flow of the game that you've put out.
Totally. You know, I'll give an example. Like in Far Cry 6 that I'm currently playing, the planes, helicopters, things like that come in a little bit later, but only because they will have a mission going, we got to steal a plane or something like that. And then they'll be at your home base where you can call for a plane.
Sure.
But if I see a plane in the wild, I can also get in the plane and fly it. It's not like it's like, oh, it's locked or something like that. You know what I mean? Which would be so fucking annoying.
That would be so stupid.
There's the plane right there. Why can't I do it? It's like, well, because you don't know it yet.
But it's definitely something that games have done before. Where it's like you see it and you're just like, well, you can't do it yet because you haven't reached that point in the story yet.
Totally. And you know what a great example of that is? GTA used to limit where you could go in the beginning.
Right.
And now they're like, hey, go anywhere you want.
You can't go past this bridge because it's under construction right now. Yeah, exactly.
What's going to stop me from, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So, okay, there you go. Very good sizzling hot take there from Mikey. Mike's last sizzling hot take is quite the take.
Ooh.
I love Pokemon, right? You love Pokemon.
I do.
We love Pokemon. Pokemon has been one of the most successful franchises of modern pop culture.
Sure.
We have movies and TV shows and cards and all this kind of stuff
Video games.
On top of a very popular video game. Many iterations. Pajamas. Thank you. Stuffed animals.
Mm.
Can you think of anything else?
Blow-up dolls.
Blow-up dolls.
Flashlights.
Fleshlights.
So are we just naming things that we have in our bedroom now?
No. Are you naming Pokemon paraphernalia?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yes, I guess
both are true.
Yep, both are true. Pornography. Off-license pornography, I might add. It's one of the most successful and well-regarded and well-known properties out there. Might I also add, it is maybe the most overhyped IP that we have in this world. Now, I just started by saying I love it. But the actual number of truly good video games it has made is not as high as the awareness of the property as a whole. And so therefore, it is one of the more overhyped properties that we have out there.
Andrew, I disagreed with your first take. I disagreed with your second take.
Yeah.
I'm fully on board with this take.
Whoa, really?
I'm fully on board with this take. I think the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, Nintendo,
those freaks,
have made one Pokemon video game.
Okay.
And reskinned it for the last 30 fucking years.
Okay.
And it's not fair to Pokemon fans. And it's so weird to me that if you make this argument, fans of Pokemon get mad at you.
Now, understandably, people will be very mad at me. And I understand this is probably going to be some kind of version of a TikTok where I'm looking out there and in the comments, people are going to tell me I'm a really stupid idiot. Let me remind you, this is not lukewarm take. This is the hottest sizzling take. And this is a sizzling take that thing that you love is overrated. There's a clip. There's the clip. You got that? You got that one?
You're rolling, Elliot?
You want to do it again? Or do you need it clean?
Again?
No, that was good. All right. Thank you.
Should he say something racist?
Well, do you think that would help?
Should he have Mr. Mime with him? And Jinx?
Jinx. Except for these two. These two are correct and good. Everything else is bad. No, once again, I love Pokemon. That's not the thing.
Pikachu is Chinese.
You know what? It's stuff like that where you go, well, maybe. I don't know. Like, it's kind of hard to... And what if he was? Is that a problem? I don't know. It's okay. It's like I said, it is not... It is totally fun. It is a totally fun world that they've dropped you in. I just don't know if they can't seem to make games that continue the progress of this world and continue new interests and stuff like that. I just don't know if it is in proportion to the awareness it has.
No, they've sold millions and millions and millions of copies of games, movies, TV shows, all this stuff on sentimentality alone. And that's it. And they have an army of people who will defend them, even though they have treated that army like dog shit.
Yes.
They haven't, like, if you look at where video games are now, let's look at two Nintendo properties by example.
Okay.
Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Versus Pokemon Arceus.
We have gone back and forth so many times.
Arceus. Arceus. We're going to call it Arceus. The world exploration. Reskinnius. Well done.
Thank you very much.
I mean, the thing about Arceus is at least they tried.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Even then, the technical limitations of the game, the boredom of exploring the open world, the blatant ways in which it shows its age, even though it's a modern game, it's eons before what Breath of the Wild has done. It's giving you things in an open world game that we got years ago, and people are so ecstatic because we're getting them now. Game Freak Nintendo, Pokemon Company, should be taking this franchise and fucking just driving it home. Give us something great.
Yeah.
And they just refuse to innovate. And it's an insult to fans who have supported the franchise for so long.
I completely agree. And the variations we get are things like Stadium and things that I know I'm talking about 25-year-old properties. But nonetheless, it's like, well, we already do that. What? That's just a version of the thing that you do. Like, they're showing so little ingenuity and innovativeness that it took to create this thing in the first place, and then kind of just rode on the laurels the whole time. And that's really annoying. And I will say the other thing too, it's like weirdly like Mad Max and Moat and Joe, where he's got like a ton of water and every once in a while he goes, here's a little bit of water. Everyone's like, yay, that's great.
Yes.
And then they're all dry for the next couple of years.
And if you walked up to that group and you said, he should be giving you more water, they get mad at you for insulting him.
Like, what did Big Pokemon do to you?
What did Big Pokemon do to you?
Boot-licking Pikachu people?
I am not insulting your love of what Pokemon once was to you.
Absolutely. Because how you feel about it.
Yes.
That's okay.
The reason why I'm upset at Nintendo is because I feel the same way as you. and just know they could be doing more and choose not to because they know they don't have to.
Yeah, this is like when you leave Scientology and then they send their goons at you. And you're like, what do you guys, why do we all believe this? And they're like, you're wrong. And you're like, wait, why am I wrong? I don't get this. All I'm trying to say is, and you know what? Detective Pikachu was like, Detective Pikachu, excuse me, was like one of the things that broke the camel's back, where they're like, hey, we finally found a crossover hit that was very popular and people liked, and like, you can make a second one? They're like, no, not enough control. You're like, Jesus Christ, guys. Like,
you didn't love Detective Pikachu, right?
No, but I think it's an important kind of progress to get more people interested in this kind of world, that it was doing something new.
Right.
And I think the lack of control made them freak out a little bit, and then they kind of dropped the project. Well, that's silly.
It's a very Nintendo thing. They are very slow to innovate. They're very good at doing expected things. I mean, hardware is a different story. I think with things like the Wii and the Switch, and some of their games do show this promise to like really kind of break the mold, but it's always kind of like coming from this very grounded place. Maybe the exception is Mario, because Mario's done a lot. You know, you have like the Super Mario 3D World, Mario Galaxy. I guess you could also argue like Mario Kart. Like
he's a doctor.
He's a doctor. They let him explore different elements and games, and it's like, why not give Pokemon the same sort of thing? Is it Nintendo? Is it Game Freak or the Pokemon company? Like, I have no fucking idea at this point.
And also, have we not solved this problem? This is like 30 years of this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there you go. That is my last sizzling hot take. Pokemon is an overhyped franchise.
I agree with that. 100%.
These were real sizzling hot takes, Mikey.
I'm crisped. I'm burnt to a crisp.
Absolutely. I am a crispy boy.
Don't scratch me. I'll peel.
Ew. Oh God. Sunburns are just the worst.
They suck.
They are just the worst.
I've given up on trying to get tans because I hate sunburns so much.
Yeah, good for you. That's probably for the best. Yeah. And considering my skin tone, probably for me too. Mikey, that was great. If you have sizzling hot game takes, let us know at Retrograde Mikey, at Retrograde Andy, or at Retrograde Pod, because, what are the things that we didn't talk about? Quick time events suck. Showing off your skills and taking them away is lazy. Longer games don't make meta games.
Don't say too many, because we're gonna revisit this idea in the future as well.
They should bring back video game demos. And then I have a whole.
I almost had the same one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I have a whole section called Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
So
maybe that's what.
Maybe that's the next one.
If you have any hot takes, you can. You sure definitely can reach out to us on the socials, but also email us the retrogradepodcast@gmail.com. You can send a little bit more of a long form thing. Send through some of your thoughts. For your point by point list, a full argument. Maybe we'll read the whole fucking thing.
Maybe we'll read the whole thing, and the next time we do one of the hot takes, we can have you reading a hot take, and we can argue that one.
Yeah, maybe send us a voice clip.
Ooh, do it. Oh yeah, that sounds fun. Do it. That's an order. Thank you so much for your service. We appreciate you. And we love every single one of you. My name is Andrew Baskin. With me, as always, is the bad boy of podcasting, Mr. Bebop himself,
Mikey Aaronworth.
This is the Retrograde Podcast.
Game over.
We should check on those eggs.
They're horse eggs.
Oh, horses!
Ride like the wind, bullseye. You're a good podcast.
Nay. Furnished by Sad Styles Productions.
Hey, Andrew.